Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have a Bachelor in Paradise recap. And also, Kat Izzo on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast discusses the sort of love triangle she has with John Henry and Olivia. And she pleads for peace. This is one of the issues we have in today's world is that anything that happens on the TV show, a small but probably very loud group of deranged fans will come after people privately, reach out to their parents, their employers, all this crazy stuff. So we'll get into that right now. Bachelor in Paradise recap. Again, it's early for me here on the East Coast. We're recording this pre-sunrise, so if I miss anything, blame the coffee, folks. And I'll be flying back to the West Coast show tonight if anyone wants to come in Hollywood. And anyway, let's get into it. Did you enjoy last night's episode? I heard Golden Bachelor was an absolute tearjerker. I didn't watch it yet, but we'll be covering that as we do. Everyone said there wasn't a dry eye in sight versus Bachelor in Paradise, where everyone was just drunk and yelling at each other. I'm guessing that's usually what goes down. So let's actually just go straight to Kat and what she had to say on her Instagram following last night's episode. She said, I empathize with the fact that there may be things in this season thus far that are triggering for many people. However, I am simply asking for some peace, as the past 5 weeks have been overwhelming and mentally compromising due to the negativity. Every hour, every platform, there is something new. We are only human. Heart emoji. Okay, so here's the deal, right? People will criticize her and say, she asked for this, the way she's acting on the beach, blah, blah, blah. There is no amount of sort of, an eye for an eye that makes this right. Right? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So she's going to have the whole world coming after her. And I don't know if a human brain is built to handle that. Being ostracized is probably one of the worst things you can do to someone on a psychological level. There might be worse things physically, but to feel like you're not part of the group or you're hated by everybody, empathizing and giving grace to people is hard to do when they aren't likable. That's the hard time to give grace, right? Not you don't give grace to a fan favorite. You give it to someone who's a villain on the show. We've always done just that, and we see people like Shanae who don't work out on The Bachelor, and then she becomes a relatively uncontroversial person on Bachelor in Paradise. Kat Izzo may be a perfectly good person in real life, and whatever combination of cameras, alcohol, and lack of sleep or humidity leads to people not always living up to the best version of themselves. Is she an absolutely terrible person? Let's just reiterate what we always say. She's probably doing the best with the information she has. This might not be good enough, but pretty wild. We're going to get into what she had to say on Bachelor Happy Hour here as she talks about that love triangle. We'll save that for a second. I'm just going to glaze through different aspects of the story. Charity, of course, shows up to talk to Aaron. Aaron ends up chatting with Eliza. We'll see how that all plays out. The big drama of the night is, of course, Olivia, Kat, John Henry love triangle. John Henry admits to Olivia that Kat caught his attention and he's still figuring out what he's feeling. Olivia tells him she'll be patient while he tries to sort through it. That is until Wells opens the truth box again. An anonymous note tells John Henry to meet them at the hot tub at midnight. Well, it's pretty obvious it isn't Olivia when the group looks around to find her chatting on the daybed. John Henry heads to the hot tub, and what do you know, Kat is there waiting for him. In the hot tub, John Henry admits he feels a little concerned given Kat's history over the past few weeks, but she assures him that she feels seriously about him and she's all in. Yeah, of course. I mean, this is paradise, folks. There's going through Tanner, Braden, all these different stories, but you're just there to try to find your person. It's a sped up, speed dating on the beach. Kat returns from her hot tub rendezvous, and Olivia is not happy. She confronts Kat and tells her she feels disrespected that Kat hasn't tried to have a conversation with Olivia about her pursuit of John Henry. Kat contends that she isn't good enough friends with Olivia to owe her that conversation. Olivia storms away, and it doesn't seem like there's a path toward reconciliation for those two. So then they do the rose ceremony, and then they realize Becca is gone. She panicked about the rose ceremony and ultimately decides to leave before it starts. As Jesse puts it, she's leaving paradise forever. So dramatic. Braden is distraught because she was the only person he wanted to offer his rose to. Avon gives his rose to Kylie. Tyler picks Mercedes. Peter offers to Sam. Aaron seals the deal with Eliza. Blake's rose goes to Jess. Tanner pulls out the first chakra of the night when he extends his rose to Rachel. It's a double whammy when John Henry chooses Kat, but then Braden picks Olivia. He tells her that he doesn't want to see her go out like this and wants to give her another week to find her footing in paradise. These rose ceremonies, there's only been like 2 or 3 rose ceremonies. This whole season takes place in like a week. Could you imagine if they filmed this over 6 months? This would be like the longest running show ever. So then John Henry pulls Olivia aside to apologize for not speaking with her before the rose ceremony. He says he thinks he disrespected her and she deserves better. Olivia agrees, but she also tells him she thinks he's really special and Kat doesn't treat him like he is. He doesn't really align on that, insisting he is having fun with Kat. They seem to be all in on each other now. Yeah, that's the issue, right? It's like Kat might not be a good friend, but maybe she's a good girlfriend, you know? Like maybe in a world where she's not competing for the male attention with all these other women, that she would actually be okay, right? We also had a note from from Davia. She said, if you just came here after watching Paradise, don't worry. I believe I'll find my person eventually. In the meantime, I want to use this moment to help those fighting blood cancers. So then she actually takes this platform of hers and does good with it and actually talks about donating bone marrow. How beautiful is that? Every 3 minutes, someone is diagnosed with the blood cancer like leukemia. And then she discusses and educates people and shares Be the Match, which is also the organization that Katie Thurston shared, and talks about how easy it is to help save a life. So again, just more proof that Davia is a pretty cool human being. So good for her right there. All right, let's get to the clip where Kat dishes on entering a love triangle with Olivia and John Henry. Have a listen.
View. Where did Olivia and John Henry stand?
I don't know. I mean, they were hanging out for sure.
Were you friends with her at the time, or was it just more like
No, okay. I was going through my own obviously things. So like the main people I was leaning on were my girls, like Kylie, Jess, Mercedes, even sometimes Rachel and stuff. Even a lot of the boys were like my friends, and people are like Blake was one of my confidants that I would like talk through things with, but Olivia was never really one of them because there was just some things that were said about other women that like rubbed me the wrong way. So I never really felt comfortable having a friendship with her, like on a personal level. So I never really had any idea of like where her relationship stood. But if there was one person on the beach that I definitely did not have even like an actual friendship, it was Olivia. So
who were her friends?
She was friends with, she hung out a lot with Eliza. That was her like closest friend, okay. I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So then when you start like flirting and talking to John Henry, is he just kind of just going back? Does he bring up Olivia or where he's at in that relationship at all?
I think I asked him at some point, and he was like just saying, yeah, we've been getting to know each other and I like hanging out with her, but like he was still, I think, open to just like getting to know each other. And in those initial moments, it was about I was just like really intrigued by him, and like I felt like a weird like attraction. So it was very like just a friendship, and we had became friends over the few days that he's been on the beach. So I wasn't like, okay, I'm talking to you because we're gonna date tomorrow and like you're gonna be the person I like. It was just like, no, and he's very easy on the eyes. So he's really fun to talk to and like hang out with and just look at in general. I remember I would forget what he says because he would just like talk to me and I couldn't hear him because he's so attractive.
I tell you what, like I said before, finding someone you enjoy looking at is half the battle, right, folks? I think Kat would have been better served by just turning off her social media the whole season and waiting till the like women tell all. Do they even do that for Paradise? They Paradise tell all? I don't know if they normally do that, but either way, or I guess they do an after show, right? Either way, we'll find out, because it's just like, look, every episode it's going to get worse and worse. She's almost giving us that same energy that Rachel Kirkconnell had, which was that energy. And you might say, as a viewer, you might say, oh, she should just ignore the hate. And I encourage you to have more empathy than that and realize it's very hard to do when you open up your Instagram and you just randomly run into hate posts and comments and DMs. I mean, it's really hard to avoid this type of hate, and it's someone who's in their early to mid 20s and cares probably a lot about what other people think of them, which shouldn't be the case. case, but who doesn't, right? It's just it's going to be very exhausting to deal with for her. So I'm not saying she looks manic, but she definitely looks like she's been dealing with it. She's on the ropes, as it were.
But
I think you said that actually.
it's insane. Like it's never happened to me before. And I was like, what's going on? So there's just like a lot of weird feelings that were coming up, but I was just kind of going with it. I wasn't really like having any intention or expectations or like fantasies. It was just like, you're like really cute and really fun to talk to.
Did you have any concerns about getting to know him with Olivia on the beach and like potential conflict there?
I saw she handled the Kylie situation. So I was like, I've had enough fair share drama. But in general,
so Kat goes, I've had enough of my fair share of drama, and it's like, have you, Kat? So she's clearly non-confrontational, but will talk smack to the cameras, which of course plays off very much not in her favor with the public perception. I guess these are all just things that could have been worked out with quick conversations, but that's not the way the show works. The show runs off of drama, and she's fueling the season.
I never wanted to disrespect her. I never would want to be like in front of somebody that she has feelings for, and I would never be doing that in a purposeful way. But it's kind of hard in periods because we're all around each other. But I know there was multiple times where I'm like, I don't want to be doing this because I know that she still likes him, and I would never want to like disrespect somebody. But I was just a little worried on how that was going to be accepted, just based on like what I've seen thus far, if that makes sense. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And how did it feel when Olivia then, after you're talking to John Henry, and we don't know like the way it comes across to us, you're talking to John Henry, and then she finally comes over that night, pulls him and like makes out with him, what looks like to be in front of you or next to you.
That was so fun. That was great. I loved it. Just because I'm not doing it does not mean that she's not doing it. Like, I'm sure it was territorial and disrespectful and blah, blah, all that stuff. But that wasn't going to deter me from, I could tell in that moment that that's not John Henry. Like, that was Olivia. So if that's how you display, how you carry yourself in these moments, that's fair. Not sure. But it's not The Bachelor. So it's not like I'm going to go and be like, can I interrupt you for a second? Like, no, he's a grown man. If he wants to be there, he'll be there. If he doesn't, he won't. It's not just like he can make his own decisions for himself too. So, yeah.
And how, if roles were flipped and you were talking to John Henry first and then Olivia came around, how do you think you would have handled that?
I mean, he was hanging out with me. So like if I was in her position and I saw him talking to another girl after we've formed a connection, that's not for me, I would never say that's the woman's fault. Like I would be like, okay, like you clearly like her. My ego's hurt. I gotta go.
There it is, folks. My ego's hurt. I gotta go. Yeah, it's like he's just not that into you. And that's what it comes down to. So I can understand the people that have smashed Olivia, no pun intended, and said, oh, she needs to take a hint, take the loss. You know what I mean? He's just not that into you, which is probably true, but at the same time she can feel her feelings, and in the end that's what the show is. It's a dance between who's into who, and they keep on tempting you with new options, and only the strong will survive. And anyway, we're surviving here, folks. All right, let me know what you guys think. We'll have more content coming your way. Bachelor Rush Hour podcast is next. Go check that out. I've got a Q&A happening today, so we'll get all your personal questions and the answers that I can give on today's episode. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.